June 22nd, 1941. 03:15 hours. Odessa, Ukraine. Lyudmila Pavlichenko woke to the sound of explosions. She was 24 years old. A history student at Kiev University. Her dormitory room shook. Plaster dust fell from the ceiling. Through the window she could see orange flashes on the horizon. The rumble was continuous, growing louder. Germany had invaded the Soviet Union. Operation Barbarossa. 3 million German soldiers, 3,000 tanks, 7,000 artillery pieces, 2,500 aircraft. The largest invasion force in human history, advancing on a front 1,800 kilometers wide. Hitler had promised his generals they would crush the Soviet Union in 8 weeks. By dawn, Lyudmila had made her decision. She walked to the Odessa recruitment office. The building was chaos. Hundreds of men pushing through the doors, shouting, arguing. Everyone wanted to enlist. Everyone wanted to fight. The queue stretched around the block. She waited 3 hours. Finally reached the desk. A Red Army lieutenant sat behind it. He was filling out forms, not looking up. Name: Lyudmila Mikhailovna Pavlichenko. Age: 24. Occupation: university student, history major. He looked up, saw her for the first time. A woman. He set down his pen. The nursing corps is recruiting at the hospital, 2 blocks north. I'm not here for nursing. Then what? Infantry. I want to be a sniper. The office went quiet. Men in the queue behind her stopped talking. The lieutenant stared at her. Then he laughed. Not a polite chuckle. A real laugh. Loud. Dismissive. A sniper? You? Yes. Do you know what a sniper does? I kill enemy soldiers from concealed positions using marksmanship skills. His smile faded slightly. This isn't a game. This is war. I know what war is. Women belong in hospitals, not trenches. Let's pause here for a moment. If you find value in stories like this, you can support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. After watching, leaving a brief comment, even a simple word, helps more than you might expect. Your support keeps these stories alive and visible. Thank you. Let's move on. Lyudmila leaned forward, placed both hands on his desk. I've been shooting since I was 14. I'm a Voroshilov sharpshooter. Master class. I can hit a 50mm target at 150 meters. Iron sights. I've won regional competitions. I know how to read wind, calculate range, adjust for temperature. I know rifles better than most of your infantry. The lieutenant shook his head. I'm sure you're a fine shot, but combat is different. Men's work. Then let me prove it. I'm not sending a woman to the front lines. Request denied. Next. Lyudmila didn't move. You're refusing my enlistment? I'm directing you to appropriate service, nursing corps, logistics, communications, plenty of important work for women. I don't want important work. I want to kill fascists. Someone in the queue behind her laughed. A man's voice, mocking. Listen to her. She wants to kill fascists. Another voice joined in. Give her a broom. She can sweep them away. More laughter. The lieutenant smiled, gestured toward the door. Go home, girl. This isn't for you. Lyudmila walked out, but not toward home. She went to the training grounds on the edge of the city. The Red Army had a rifle range there, open to civilians for Voroshilov sharpshooter qualifications. She had trained there for years. The range master was Sergeant Dmitry Kozlov. He was 53 years old. Career soldier. He had taught Lyudmila to shoot when she was 16. Watched her win competitions. Seen her outshoot men twice her age. She found him in the armory. Cleaning rifles. Mosin Nagant 9130 models. Standard Soviet infantry rifles. 7.62mm caliber. Bolt action. 5-round internal magazine. Effective range, 800 meters. In skilled hands, capable of accurate fire beyond 1,000 meters. Sergeant Kozlov. He looked up, recognized her immediately. Lyudmila, you heard the news? I tried to enlist. They laughed at me. They're fools. They told me to join the nursing corps. Kozlov set down the rifle he was cleaning. I've trained 300 soldiers in 20 years. You're in the top 5. Man or woman doesn't matter. Skill matters. Tell that to the recruitment office. I have a better idea. He walked to a weapons locker, opened it, pulled out a rifle. Not a standard Mosin Nagant. This one had a telescopic sight mounted on the receiver. A PU scope, 3.5 times magnification, 30mm objective lens, effective sniping range, 1,000 meters. He handed it to her. Take it. I can't. This is military property. The military doesn't want you. I do. He pulled out a box of ammunition. 50 rounds. Show them what you can do. Don't ask permission. Just do it. Lyudmila took the rifle. The weight was familiar. 4.3 kilograms loaded, 48 inches long. The stock was worn smooth from use. The scope was precisely zeroed. She could feel it. Where? The front lines are forming 15 kilometers east. Romanian 4th Army is advancing toward the city. Find a unit that needs a sniper. Shoot something. Prove yourself. She left that night, wore her university coat, carried the rifle wrapped in canvas. No uniform, no authorization, no orders. Technically, she was stealing military equipment. Technically, she was deserting civilian duty. Technically, she could be shot. She didn't care. The Romanian advance reached the outskirts of Odessa on June 23rd. The city's defenses were chaotic. Regular army units mixed with militia. Workers with hunting rifles. Students with Mosin Nagants. Everyone trying to form defensive lines. Stop the invasion. Buy time for organized resistance. Lyudmila found a Red Army position on the eastern approach. A platoon of infantry dug into a factory complex. 32 men. Their lieutenant was Yakov Grishenko, 29 years old, mobilized from reserve. He looked exhausted. She approached him directly. I'm a sniper, masterclass Voroshilov sharpshooter. I can help. He stared at her, at the rifle, at her civilian clothes. Who authorized you? Nobody. Then you can't be here. Romanian forces are advancing. You need every shooter you have. I need soldiers, not civilians playing war. I'm not playing. He pointed back toward the city. Go home. This is not your fight. This is everyone's fight. You're a woman. I'm a shooter. Grishenko shook his head, turned away, dismissed her. Sergeant Volkov, remove the civilian from the position. A sergeant approached, grabbed her arm. She didn't resist, just spoke quietly. Give me one chance, one shot. If I miss, I'll leave. If I hit, let me stay. You'll get yourself killed. That's my choice. Grishenko stopped, turned back, studied her face. Something in her expression made him reconsider. Maybe desperation, maybe determination. Maybe he was too tired to argue. One shot, he said. Then you leave. Lyudmila moved to a firing position. Second floor of the factory. Window overlooking the approach road. Good sight lines. 800 meters to the Romanian positions. She could see movement. Soldiers advancing in small groups, using cover, moving tactically. She set up the rifle, extended the bipod, checked the scope. The zero was perfect. She studied the wind. Light breeze, left to right, approximately 3 meters per second. At 800 meters, that meant 20 centimeters of drift. She adjusted her aim point, selected her target. A Romanian soldier moving between buildings. He was carrying ammunition boxes, moving slowly, exposed for approximately 4 seconds. Long enough. She controlled her breathing. Inhale, exhale, halfway, hold. The crosshairs settled on his chest. Center mass, largest target area. She squeezed the trigger. Smooth, steady, no jerk. The rifle recoiled. 7.62 millimeter cartridge. 1,600 meters per second muzzle velocity. The sound was sharp. Loud. Echoed across the factory floor. 800 meters away, the Romanian soldier collapsed. One shot. One kill. The Soviet soldiers stared. Grushenko raised his binoculars, watched the Romanian position. Confusion. Soldiers taking cover, looking for the shooter, not finding anything. He lowered the binoculars, looked at Lyudmila. Again. She cycled the bolt, ejected the spent cartridge, chambered a new round, found another target, a Romanian officer directing troops. 900 meters, harder shot, moving target. She led him by 1 meter, squeezed. The officer went down. Grushenko didn't say anything, just nodded, pointed to a corner of the room. You stay there. Don't move unless I tell you. That was June 23rd. By June 24th, she had 7 confirmed kills. By June 25th, 14. The soldiers stopped laughing, started asking her advice, requesting her support for their positions. She became part of the unit, not officially, no paperwork, no authorization, just accepted. June 28th. A political officer arrived. Commissar Petrovich. He heard about the woman sniper, demanded to see her, found her in her firing position, watched her shoot. She killed a Romanian machine gunner at 1,100 meters. One shot. Petrovich was impressed, but problematic. You're not enlisted. This is irregular. I'm fighting. Without authorization. This violates regulations. Regulations didn't want me. I could have you arrested. You could, after I kill more fascists. He smiled slightly. You're insubordinate. I'm effective. Both can be true. He pulled out a form. Red Army enlistment papers. Sign this. I'll backdate it to June 22nd. Make everything official. What about the recruitment officer who rejected me? He's an idiot. We need soldiers who can fight, not bureaucrats who follow stupid policies. Lyudmila signed. She was now officially a Red Army soldier, Private Pavlichenko, assigned to 25th Rifle Division, sniper specialist. Her first official day of service was retroactively June 22nd, 1941. Her actual first day of killing had been June 23rd. The paperwork caught up with reality. But the mockery didn't stop. It evolved, became more sophisticated, more cruel. July 1941. A political officer from Moscow visited the Odessa front. He interviewed Lyudmila for a propaganda piece. The interview was brief, condescending. How many kills do you claim? 36 confirmed. Confirmed by whom? My commanding officer. Each kill is verified by observers. And you're comfortable with this? Killing men? I'm killing fascists who invaded my country. But don't you think your talents would be better used elsewhere? Support roles? Nursing? I already have a role. Sniper. Yes, but surely this affects you emotionally. The psychological burden of taking lives. Lyudmila stared at him. You want to know if it bothers me? I'm curious how a woman processes combat stress. The same way men do. I kill the enemy. I survive. I do it again tomorrow. The interview was never published. Too direct. Too harsh. Didn't fit the approved narrative of women as nurturers. Even in war. August 1941. Lyudmila was promoted to corporal. 58 confirmed kills. Her reputation was growing. Other snipers requested her advice. She trained new recruits, taught them windage calculation, range estimation, concealment techniques. But the male snipers still made jokes. Quiet jokes. Barracks humor. They called her ubitsa, killer. But they said it with an edge, not respect. More like fascination. Like she was something unusual. Abnormal. A woman who killed with the efficiency of a machine. She overheard conversations. Did you see her today? 3 kills before lunch. Didn't even blink. It's unnatural. Women aren't supposed to be like that. Maybe she's not really a woman. Maybe she's something else. She ignored them, focused on her work, focused on the mathematics of killing. Because that's what sniping was. Mathematics and patience. Wind speed affected bullet trajectory. Every 1 meter per second of crosswind caused approximately 15 centimeters of drift at 500 meters. Double the wind, double the drift. The formula was linear, predictable. Temperature affected muzzle velocity. Cold air was denser, created more resistance. At -10 Celsius, her rounds would drop an additional 20 centimeters at 800 meters compared to summer conditions. She had to adjust her aim point, calculate the correction, factor it into every shot. Range estimation was critical. If she miscalculated distance by 50 meters, she would miss by 30 centimeters. That meant the difference between a kill and revealing her position. She used multiple methods: mil-dot reticle calculations, known object sizes, triangulation from multiple reference points. Every estimate was cross-checked, verified. She couldn't afford mistakes. Her rifle was a Mosin Nagant 9130 with PU scope. The scope had a field of view of 6 degrees. At 1,000 meters, she could see a circle 105 meters in diameter. Everything outside that was peripheral vision. She had to scan, move the scope systematically, cover her sector completely, miss nothing. The PU scope had a maximum elevation adjustment of 470 minutes of angle. Each minute of angle equaled approximately 30 centimeters at 100 meters. At maximum elevation, she could engage targets at 1,300 meters. Beyond that, the scope ran out of adjustment range. She had to use holdover. Aim above the target. Estimate how much. This was imprecise. She preferred shots under 1,000 meters where her calculations were certain. Her ammunition was 7.62 54 mm cartridges, steel core, muzzle velocity, 850 meters per second, bullet weight, 9.6 grams, ballistic coefficient, 0.311. These numbers defined everything. Trajectory, wind drift, energy at target, time of flight. At 500 meters, time of flight was 0.68 seconds. The target could move 45 centimeters in that time if walking normally. She had to lead moving targets, calculate their speed, predict their position when the bullet arrived. This required practice, experience, intuition developed over hundreds of shots. She kept a logbook, every kill recorded, range, wind conditions, temperature, target behavior, outcome. She studied the patterns, learned what worked, what didn't, adjusted her techniques. This was science, not luck. Every kill was data. Every data point made her better. The kill count climbed. 64, 73, 89. Each number represented a human being she had erased. A father, a son, a brother. She tried not to think about that. Tried to see them as targets, problems to solve, equations to complete. But sometimes, through her scope, she saw their faces too clearly, saw them as people. Those were the hard shots, the ones that stayed with her. September 1941. The siege of Odessa intensified. Romanian and German forces surrounded the city. Artillery bombardment was constant. The Red Army was outnumbered, outgunned, losing ground daily. Lyudmila operated in the most dangerous sectors. Urban combat, building to building. Her specialty was counter-sniping, finding enemy snipers, killing them before they killed Soviet soldiers. Counter-sniping required different skills. Enemy snipers were trained, disciplined. They knew how to hide, how to mask their muzzle flash, how to shoot and relocate. They were hunting her as much as she was hunting them. She developed a technique: study the enemy positions, identify likely sniper hides, create false targets, wait for the enemy to shoot, track the muzzle flash, calculate position, return fire, eliminate threat. The false targets were crucial. She used mannequins, helmets on sticks, coats stuffed with straw, anything that looked human from a distance. She positioned them in areas where a real soldier might appear, made them move slightly, created the illusion of life. Enemy snipers would shoot, reveal themselves, die. She made her first sniper decoy from her own coat, stuffed it with grass, mounted it on a wooden frame, added a helmet from a dead soldier, positioned it near a window in her building. From 200 meters, it looked convincing. The coat moved slightly in the wind, created the appearance of breathing, of life. A German sniper shot it 3 hours after she set it up. The bullet punched through the chest area. Perfect shot. Center mass. If that had been a real soldier, they would be dead. But it was grass and fabric. The German had exposed himself for nothing. Lyudmila tracked the muzzle flash, calculated the angle, identified the building. 3rd floor, eastern exposure. Good position. He had chosen well, but he had taken the bait. She waited. The German would check his kill. Human nature. Even trained snipers wanted confirmation, wanted to see the result of their work. It was a weakness, a vulnerability. She exploited it ruthlessly. 11 minutes later, movement, a shadow behind a broken window. The German was repositioning, getting a better view of his target, confirming the kill. Lyudmila aimed. Her crosshairs settled on the window. She couldn't see him clearly, just movement, shadow. It was enough. She fired. The movement stopped. Confirmed kill. Enemy sniper eliminated. It worked. She refined the technique, built better decoys, added details, made them more convincing, used them repeatedly. German and Romanian snipers fell for it. Again, again, again. Each kill made the others more cautious, but caution slowed them down, made them less effective. That was winning too. She killed 11 German snipers in September. Each one was a duel, a contest of patience and skill. She won every time. One German sniper was particularly dangerous. He had killed 17 Soviet soldiers in 3 days, operating from a ruined church, 250 meters from Soviet lines. Perfect concealment, good sight lines, disciplined, patient. Soviet command wanted him eliminated, sent 3 snipers before Lyudmila. All 3 died. The German was that good, that careful. He never showed himself unnecessarily, never took rushed shots, never made mistakes. Lyudmila studied him for 6 hours, from a position 400 meters to his southeast, outside his primary field of fire. She watched his pattern. He fired every 18 to 23 minutes, single shots, always from slightly different positions within the church, never the same window twice. This was professional work, expert level. She noted everything. Which windows he used, how long he stayed in each position, the angle of his shots, his preferred targets. He focused on Soviet soldiers moving between positions, caught them in the open. Maximum vulnerability. His accuracy was exceptional. 17 kills in 3 days meant 17 shots. No misses, no wasted ammunition. The church building gave him advantages. Multiple firing positions. Stone walls provided protection. The bell tower offered elevation. 360-degree fields of fire. He could engage targets in any direction, relocate quickly, disappear into the ruins. But every position had weaknesses. She analyzed the structure. The church had been bombed. The roof was partially collapsed. This limited his movement on the upper floors. Certain areas were inaccessible. This narrowed his possible positions, reduced his options. She identified 6 viable shooting positions, 3 on the ground floor, 2 on the 2nd floor, 1 in the bell tower. Each had specific advantages and vulnerabilities. She studied them all. Calculated angles, line of sight, dead space, escape routes. The ground floor positions offered the best concealment but limited elevation. Hard to spot from there, but also hard to see targets. The second floor was compromised. Too much structural damage. The bell tower was optimal, maximum elevation, best sight lines, but also most exposed. Getting there required climbing exposed stairs, movement that could be detected. She set a trap, created a dummy target, a coat stuffed with straw, positioned it in an exposed area, made it look like a soldier checking the perimeter, someone who had made a mistake, visible for approximately 4 seconds, long enough for a shot, short enough to seem accidental. She positioned herself 380 meters from the church. Different angle than previous Soviet snipers. They had all died from southeastern positions. She chose southwest. Unexpected. Outside his pattern. Her firing position was in rubble from a collapsed apartment building. Excellent concealment. Solid rest for her rifle. Good line of sight to the church. Waited. 21 minutes later, the German fired. Hit the dummy center mass. Perfect shot. The impact was precise, professional, no hesitation. This man was confident in his skills. Perhaps too confident. Lyudmila tracked the muzzle flash. Bell tower, northern window, 3rd floor. She couldn't see him, just the flash. Brief, controlled. He had fired and immediately pulled back. Good discipline, but he would check his kill. They always did. Need to confirm. Need to verify their work. It was human nature. Even the best snipers had this weakness. She aimed at the bell tower window, set her crosshairs slightly left of center, anticipated where he might appear, controlled her breathing, waited. Patience. She had learned patience from hunting rabbits as a child. You couldn't rush. You had to let the target come to you. 5 seconds later, he appeared. Just his head and shoulders, looking through the window, confirming the kill. His profile was clear. 380 meters. She had done harder shots. The wind was light. Temperature was stable. Her zero was perfect. She squeezed the trigger. Smooth. Steady. The rifle recoiled against her shoulder. 7.62 millimeter round left the barrel at 850 meters per second. Time of flight, approximately half a second. The German sniper was exposed for 1.2 seconds. Long enough. The bullet struck him in the head. He fell backward, out of sight, into the shadows of the bell tower. Confirmed kill number 94. But confirmation required verification. Soviet doctrine demanded witnesses. Another soldier had to observe the kill. Confirmed the target was neutralized. She waited 30 minutes, watched the church. No movement, no additional shots. The German was either dead or wounded badly enough to be combat ineffective. A Soviet scout team approached the church 2 hours later, cleared the building, found the German sniper in the bell tower. Dead. Single shot to the head. They recovered his rifle, a Karabiner 98K with ZF-39 scope, quality weapon, 427mm barrel, bolt action, 5-round magazine. The scope was 6 power magnification, better than her PU scope at 3.5 power. This man had equipment advantage. She had won anyway. They also found his logbook. German snipers kept records, documentation, proof of kills, military bureaucracy even in combat. The book listed 53 confirmed kills. Not just the 17 Soviet soldiers recently. He had been operating for months. Experienced, skilled, one of Wehrmacht's best. And now he was dead. Killed by the woman sniper the German soldiers mocked, the Flintenweiber, rifle woman. They said it with contempt, disbelief. How could a woman compete with trained German marksmen? She competed by being better, by studying harder, by making fewer mistakes, by being patient when they were aggressive, by being disciplined when they were confident. Confirmed kill number 94 was a message. To the Germans, to her own command, to everyone who doubted. She could outshoot anyone. Gender was irrelevant. Skill was everything. October 1941. The Soviet defenders evacuated Odessa. The city couldn't hold. Too much pressure. Too many enemies. The Black Sea Fleet evacuated 86,000 soldiers. Lyudmila was among them. They shipped her to Sevastopol, the fortress city, the last major Soviet position in Crimea. The defenders dug in, prepared for siege. The Germans would come. It was inevitable. Lyudmila's kill count was 112. She was now famous. The Soviet propaganda machine had discovered her, made her a hero. Articles in Red Star newspaper, photographs, interviews. The narrative had shifted from mockery to celebration. But the underlying attitude remained. She was still a woman, still unusual, still not quite normal. November 1941. A journalist from Moscow interviewed her. His questions were careful, scripted, designed to create the right image. What motivates you to fight? Defense of the motherland. Do you feel different from other soldiers? I feel like someone doing their job. Your job is killing. How does that affect you as a woman? There it was, always the same question. Always the assumption that gender defined capability, defined emotion, defined worth. Lyudmila's answer was precise. Men kill in war. Nobody asks how they feel about it. Why is my killing different? The journalist looked uncomfortable. Because you're a woman. Society has certain expectations. Society expects me to defeat fascism. That's what I'm doing. Yes, but there is no but. Either we win this war or we die. Gender is irrelevant. The interview appeared heavily edited. Most of her sharper responses removed, replaced with softer language, more acceptable sentiments. The propaganda machine wanted a hero, but a feminine hero. Nurturing even while killing, maternal even while sniping. Lyudmila read the published version, laughed bitterly, threw it away. December 1941. Winter came to Sevastopol. Temperature dropped to -15 Celsius. The siege tightened. German artillery pounded the city daily. Food was rationed. Ammunition was scarce. Casualties mounted. Lyudmila continued hunting. Her winter camouflage was white bed sheets, torn into strips, wrapped around her uniform, over her rifle, covering everything except her scope lens. Even that she shaded with fabric when not actively aiming. Any reflection could give away her position. Get her killed. Winter warfare required different techniques. Snow showed tracks. Every movement left evidence. She had to plan her routes carefully, use existing paths, walk in others' footsteps, avoid creating new trails that enemy observers could detect. The cold was brutal. Metal parts of her rifle became ice cold. Touching the barrel with bare skin caused instant frostbite. She wrapped the stock in cloth, kept the bolt lubricated with special winter oil. Standard gun oil froze at -10, became thick, made the action sluggish. She had to use lighter oil, maintain her weapon constantly. Her breath created vapor clouds, visible in cold air. Every exhale could reveal her position. She learned to breathe slowly, through fabric, dissipate the vapor, make herself invisible. This required discipline, control. When adrenaline surged, when fear hit, the natural response was heavy breathing. She had to suppress that. Stay calm. Stay concealed. Her position was often in rubble piles, destroyed buildings, frozen ground. She would lie motionless for hours, waiting for targets. Her record was 11 hours in a single position. Temperature -18. No movement, no food, just patience. Just waiting for one shot. One kill. The cold tried to kill her as much as the Germans did. Hypothermia was constant threat. Her fingers went numb. She had to flex them regularly, keep blood flowing, but movement created risk, detection, death. She balanced survival against concealment, sometimes barely. She wore multiple layers: wool underwear, cotton uniform, padded jacket, white camouflage over everything. Her boots were felt-lined, 2 sizes too large to accommodate extra socks. Her hands had wool gloves with trigger fingers cut open. She needed bare finger to shoot. Accepted the frostbite risk. Couldn't pull trigger through thick gloves. Kill count, 147. The German military began targeting her specifically. They knew about the woman sniper, knew her reputation, wanted her dead. They assigned counter-snipers to hunt her. 3 different teams, experienced marksmen, Wehrmacht's best, men who had killed on the Eastern Front for months, men who had scored dozens of kills themselves, men who were offended that a woman was beating them. She killed all of them. The first died at 630 meters, exposed himself too long while scanning for her position. 3-second exposure. Fatal mistake. Her shot was perfect. He died not knowing who had killed him. Died not knowing the woman he hunted had been hunting him better. The second died at 480 meters. Made the mistake of returning to the same hide 2 days in a row. Snipers should never repeat positions. Too predictable. Too vulnerable. She had waited for him. Knew he would come back. Shot him as he settled into his spot. He died in the position where he had killed 6 Soviet soldiers. Poetic justice. The third was the best. Patient, disciplined, professional. They dueled for 4 days. Neither could locate the other. Both were too skilled, too careful. This was the highest level of sniper warfare. 2 experts, equal skill, each trying to make the other make the first mistake. She studied his kills, analyzed his victims, looked for patterns. He favored shots between 200 and 400 meters, medium range, high accuracy zone. He avoided extreme long range, preferred certainty over distance. This told her something. He was confident in his skills but not reckless. His timing was irregular. Sometimes he shot twice in an hour. Sometimes nothing for 6 hours. No pattern, no predictability. This was intentional. Made him harder to track, harder to anticipate. He changed positions frequently, never stayed in one spot after firing. Good doctrine. Prevented counter-battery fire. Prevented counter-sniping. Made him extremely difficult to locate. But everyone made mistakes eventually. Everyone had patterns they didn't recognize. She just had to find his. On the 5th day, she noticed something. His kills clustered geographically. Northwest sector. 300-meter radius. This meant his base position was somewhere in that area. He ranged out to shoot, but returned to base. Everyone had a base. A position they felt safe in. Comfortable. She just had to find it. She studied the terrain, identified likely positions, buildings with good sight lines, structural integrity, multiple exits, cover and concealment. She narrowed it to 4 possible locations. Waited. Watched. Didn't shoot. Didn't reveal herself. Just observed. This was the hardest part. Patience when action seemed necessary. Discipline when instinct screamed to engage. 3rd day of observation. Dawn. Temperature -12. Weak sunlight coming from the east. Low angle. Long shadows. And in that light, she saw a reflection. Brief. Momentary. Scope lens catching sunlight. 50 meters to her left. Different building than she expected. Clever bastard. He had chosen position 5, the one she hadn't prioritized, the one that seemed too exposed. But exposure was deception. He had hidden in plain sight. Counted on Soviet snipers avoiding obviously dangerous positions. Gambled that they would look elsewhere. Smart. Very smart. She didn't move, didn't change position, didn't react, just noted the location, memorized it, continued her surveillance routine as if she had seen nothing. Because if he was good enough to hide there, He was good enough to be watching for reactions. Any sign that she had detected him would make him relocate. She would lose him. She waited 3 more hours. Let him think he was safe. Let him settle. Let him relax. The reflection had been at 06:47 hours. Morning routine, checking equipment. By 1000 hours, he would be in operational mode, alert, focused, harder to catch. But at 6:45 hours the next morning, he would repeat his routine. Humans were creatures of habit, even trained snipers, especially trained snipers. They relied on procedures, protocols, habits that kept them alive. Those same habits made them predictable to someone patient enough to watch. Next morning, 6:43 hours, she was in position, rifle aimed at where she had seen the reflection, scope focused, crosshairs steady, breathing controlled, waiting for 6:47, 6:46, movement, shadow in the window. He was there, checking his equipment, following his routine exactly, predictable after all. There was 6:47. The reflection appeared, brief flash of light, scope lens catching dawn sun, just like yesterday. Same time, same angle, same exposure. She fired, didn't wait for confirmation, didn't need to see him fall. The shot was good. She knew it, felt it. The rifle's recoil, the sight picture, the trigger break. Everything perfect. 3 hours later, Soviet scouts confirmed. German sniper dead, single shot through the head. His scope had been destroyed by the same bullet. The round had passed through the lens, through the scope body, through his eye, through his brain. He had been looking through his scope when she fired, looking for targets. Never saw the bullet coming. They recovered his identification. Hauptmann Otto Weber, 28 years old, Iron Cross 2nd Class, Iron Cross 1st Class, awarded for 67 confirmed kills, experienced sniper, Wehrmacht elite, sent specifically to hunt the Soviet woman sniper. He had underestimated her, thought gender meant weakness, thought female meant inferior, died without learning the truth. Kill count, 150. January 1942. The siege continued. Sevastopol was surrounded. No supply lines, no reinforcement, just defense, stubbornness, refusal to surrender. Lyudmila was promoted to lieutenant. This was unprecedented. A woman officer, a combat officer, not medical, not administrative, a real combat leader. She commanded a platoon of snipers, 12 men, all of them older than her, all of them initially skeptical. They learned quickly. She was ruthless about training, demanded perfection, wind reading, range estimation, concealment, movement. Every detail mattered. Sloppy work got you killed. She led from the front, took the most dangerous assignments, killed the hardest targets. Her men watched, learned, respected. One of them, Sergeant Yuri Belov, asked her directly, "Why are you so hard on us?" "Because soft training creates dead soldiers. The other platoons don't train like this. The other platoons have higher casualty rates." He couldn't argue with that. Her platoon had 0 losses in 3 months, the highest kill count in the division, the most effective sniper unit in Sevastopol, February 1942. Kill count, 189, March 1942. Kill count, 214, April 1942. Kill count, 243, May 1942. A German offensive nearly broke the defense. Romanian and German forces pushed into the city, block by block combat. Brutal. Lyudmila's platoon held a critical intersection. 3 days of continuous fighting. She killed 18 German soldiers in those 3 days. Close range, urban combat, some kills under 100 meters. This wasn't sniping. This was survival. June 1942, mortar bombardment. A German 81mm mortar shell landed near Lyudmila's position. Shrapnel wounds to her face and neck. Not fatal, but severe. Blood loss, shock, trauma. They evacuated her from Sevastopol. Medical ship to the mainland. Hospital in Moscow. Her combat career was over. Final kill count, 309 confirmed kills. 36 of them were enemy snipers. Counter-sniper operations were the most dangerous, the highest skill level. She had won every duel. The Soviet government recognized her value immediately, not as a soldier, as a symbol. Propaganda. They promoted her to major, awarded her Hero of the Soviet Union, Gold Star Medal, the highest military honor. Then they sent her to America. August 1942, International Goodwill Tour. The Soviet Union needed American support, weapons, supplies, political pressure on Germany. Lyudmila would be the face of Soviet resistance. Show Americans that even women were fighting, dying, defeating fascism. She arrived in Washington, D.C. Official delegation, State Department reception, press conference. The American press was fascinated. A woman soldier, a killer, 309 kills. It was sensational, scandalous, incredible. The question started immediately. "Miss Pavlichenko, do you wear makeup at the front?" She stared at the reporter. "Makeup?" "Yes. Do you maintain your appearance while fighting?" "I maintain my rifle. That's what matters." "But surely you care about how you look." "I care about killing fascists." Another reporter jumped in. "What do you wear under your uniform?" "What?" "Your undergarments. Are they standard issue or personal items?" Lyudmila's face hardened. "I wear what keeps me warm. Next question. Do you think skirts suit you better than trousers?" She stood up. The press conference froze. Every camera pointed at her, every microphone ready. Her voice was cold, precise, angry. "Gentlemen, I am 25 years old and I have killed 309 fascist occupants by now. Don't you think you have been hiding behind my back for too long?" The room went silent. She continued. "While I was killing Germans, what were you doing? Writing about fashion? Asking about makeup? Your army is still preparing while mine has been dying for a year. I have killed men, real men, armed men, trained men. And you want to know what I wear under my uniform?" A reporter in the back raised his hand. "Miss Pavlichenko." "Major Pavlichenko. I'm a military officer." "Major Pavlichenko, do you feel your combat experience has made you less feminine?" "It's made me alive. That's what matters." Another reporter. "But don't you worry that men will find you less attractive? That your experiences have changed you?" Lyudmila walked off the stage. The press conference ended. The American media was shocked. Soviet propaganda officer tried to smooth things over, explained cultural differences, wartime stress, misunderstandings. But Lyudmila's words had impact. The quote spread. "Don't you think you have been hiding behind my back for too long?" It appeared in newspapers, magazines, radio broadcasts. Some outlets mocked her, called her aggressive, unfeminine, too harsh. Others celebrated her, saw the truth in her words. While American reporters asked about makeup, Soviet women were dying in trenches. While American society debated whether women belonged in combat, Soviet women were proving they could fight. Kill. Win. Eleanor Roosevelt invited Lyudmila to the White House. Private meeting. No press. The First Lady wanted to understand. Really understand. Not for propaganda. For truth. They talked for 3 hours. Roosevelt asked direct questions. "What was the hardest kill?" "The first one. After that, it became easier." "Does it haunt you?" "They were invaders. They killed my people, my country. Should I feel guilty for defending my home?" Some would say killing changes a person, damages them. War changes everyone. Killing is just part of it. Do you think you'll ever recover? Return to normal life? Lyudmila was quiet for a moment, then answered. "There is no normal after this. I'll never be the university student again. That person died in Odessa. What I am now, this is what war creates." Roosevelt nodded. "What do you want Americans to know?" "That we're dying while they debate. That every day you delay opening a second front, more Soviet soldiers die, that your comfort comes from our sacrifice. It was harsh. True. Uncomfortable. Roosevelt used her influence, pushed for increased aid to the Soviet Union, advocated for the Second Front. Lyudmila's words had impact beyond propaganda. They created political pressure. September 1942. Lyudmila returned to the Soviet Union. Her injuries had healed. She wanted to return to combat, rejoin her unit, continue fighting. The Soviet government refused. She was too valuable as a symbol, too important for morale, too famous to risk losing. They assigned her to training duty. She would teach new snipers, pass on her skills, create the next generation of Soviet marksmen. She hated it, wanted to fight, not teach, but orders were orders. She trained 400 snipers during the war, taught them everything: wind reading, range estimation, patience, discipline, how to think like a hunter, how to wait for the perfect shot, how to survive. Her students killed an estimated 12,000 enemy soldiers. Her legacy was measured not just in her own kills, but in the kills of everyone she taught. May 1945. Germany surrendered. The war ended. Lyudmila was 38 years old. She had killed 309 men, trained hundreds more to kill, spent 4 years in combat or training. She tried to return to normal life, completed her university degree. History. Ironically, she became part of history herself. The most successful female sniper in military history. A record that still stands. But normal was impossible. The war had changed everything. She had nightmares, saw the faces of men she'd killed, heard the sound of her rifle, the bolt cycling, the brass ejecting, over and over. She drank, struggled with relationships, couldn't connect with people who hadn't experienced combat. They couldn't understand, didn't want to understand. She gave lectures, spoke at schools, military academies, told her story. Always the same questions. How did it feel to kill? Were you scared? Do you regret it? Her answers became automatic, rehearsed. The truth was too complicated, too painful, too raw. The truth was this: she had been good at killing, exceptional, and that frightened her more than anything the Germans had done. The ease with which she had taken lives, the lack of hesitation, the mechanical efficiency of her actions. 309 human beings had died because she had pulled a trigger. 309 men who had mothers, maybe wives, maybe children. She had erased them, made them statistics, reduced them to numbers in a ledger, and she had been celebrated for it. The cognitive dissonance was overwhelming. Society praised her for doing something society said women couldn't do, shouldn't do. The same people who had mocked her enlistment now held her up as a hero. The same system that had rejected her now exploited her for propaganda. She had proven women could fight, could kill, were as capable as men in combat. But the victory felt hollow, because the price was becoming someone she didn't recognize. October 10th, 1974. Lyudmila Pavlichenko died in Moscow. She was 58 years old. The official cause was stroke. But those who knew her suspected the real cause was much older, much deeper. She had survived the war. But the war had never left her. Her funeral was a state affair. Military honors, speeches, medals displayed. Her 309 kills were mentioned repeatedly. Her status as hero of the Soviet Union was emphasized. She was celebrated as a warrior, a hero, a symbol of Soviet strength. But in all the speeches, in all the eulogies, nobody mentioned what she had said to those American reporters in 1942. The words that had defined her, the truth she had spoken. Don't you think you have been hiding behind my back for too long? That was her real legacy. Not the kill count, not the medals, not the propaganda value. It was the challenge, the accusation, the demand for recognition that she had fought while others had watched, that she had bled while others had debated, that she had proved what everyone said was impossible, and they had laughed at her, until she killed 309 men. Then they stopped laughing. Then they were shocked. What the sniper said echoes still. Every time someone questions whether women can fight. Every time someone assumes gender defines capability. Every time someone laughs at the idea of a woman in combat. 309 confirmed kills. They're not laughing anymore.